Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna. Still fine?
Prabhu.
Speak, Bhima Prasad.
No, it's fine. Don't know why is it. I'm sorry, Prabhuji.
All right, we're starting. We're starting. We can start. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. Time to start. Okay. Now, we'll sing a little song to begin with today. Glorification of Lord Chaitanya by Srila Lochandas Thakur. You can, if you know this song, it's called Parama Karuna. You can find it. Sing along if you like. If you can't sing along, it doesn't matter. It's all on this. Can't really do kirtan on the internet anyway. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Yes? Okay. Padama Kodana Pohudu Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Shabhavata Shada Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda Kevalananda Kanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrida Bishasha Kori Shavavatar Shada Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda Kevala Ananda Kanda Padama Kodana Pohudu Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Dekodi Bhai Tribhuvanena Yamona Dayala Data Pashupaki Jude Pashana Bidade Shuni Chara Gunagata Padama Kodana Pohudu Hijana Nitai Gaura Chandra Shadam Aji Purohite Puri Shepore Nahi Lo Asha. Vapana Karma Bunjaye Shamana Kahe Lochana Dasa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kevala Nanda Kanda. Joyam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrachakacharya Ashtatara Sri Samajala Abhacharna Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai, ISKCON Pratishthat Acharya Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shamaveda Gaud Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gaud Shitanath Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Bande Aham Shri Guru Shujitapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Shaguru Jatam Sahaganarganatam Vidam Shajibam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shibishakam Vidangscha Mantra Guru Arjata Shikha Guru Gonta Charane Yage Karya Bandhan Vansha Kalpatrubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bebacha Potitanam Pavaneva Vaishnava Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shamadevakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Shashri Devi Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shandavadi Prishtatta Desha Tarane. We sang this song by Lochanda Thakur describing the unlimited mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Just to think that such a person from such a degraded background, from lecture Jabon class, and here we are have opportunity to discuss the most exalted scripture, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada described as the science of complete science of devotional service. To think that I have an opportunity to discuss the teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami with the assembly of devotees from, are we allowed to mention where we're from, Bhima Prasad? Do we have a code name or something? Or?
No, Pakistan. That's okay.
Pakistan. I mean, like, how much mercy Lord Chaitanya is bestowing upon me to give me such an opportunity. It's inconceivable. So I thought I'd sing that song, Parama Karuna, and just express my feelings, having the opportunity to be with you over the next couple of evenings and discuss the most glorious Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Thank you very much, Bhima Prasad Das Brahmachari. Hare Krishna. Now let's begin with a little bit of a relaxed opening session. We're going to invite you to speak. And up to this point, we've already studied 14 chapters of Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. So let's take this opportunity now to invite you, share with the group. You can raise your hands. We'll nominate you. You can speak briefly. Share with the group some things that up to this point have inspired you in your studies of Nectar Devotion. Yes, ISKCON Rohini Institute.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji,
please
please
accept
take
my
the
humble
humble
obeisance.
obeisance.
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
I
I
just want
just
to
want to
share.
share.
I think, Bimla
I think
Prabhu, my voice is
my
also
voice is
equal.
also equal.
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's
Okay.
fine. Okay.
So
So
I just want
I
to
just want
share
to share
what I
what
have
I have
learned
learned
from
from
NoD,
NoD,
Nectar
Nectar
Devotion till
Devotion till
now.
now.
To
To
start,
start,
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
One or 2 points.
yeah,
yeah,
one
one
point
point
is
is
I
I
have
have
learned the
learned the
intent to
intent to
please
please
Krishna.
Krishna.
Always
Always
remember this,
remember
that
this, that
intent to
intent to
please
please
Krishna,
Krishna,
which we
which we
usually
usually
forget.
forget.
Oh, you're Krishna Priya.
Even
You're Krishna Priya. Yeah. Darshan Pavitro hai tanga gun. So where is that mentioned in the famous verse from Nectar Devotion?
yeah,
Krishna
Yeah,
Priya?
Anukulena
Krishna
Krishna
Anushilana.
Anushilana.
Very good. Yeah, you get
Yeah.
get a lot of credit for that. Anukulena
Yes.
Krishnana. So can you explain a little further what that's all about, Krishna Priya?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it is as
Anya
Anyabilashi
Shunyam
Prashunyam
that
that
Krishna
Krishna
consciousness,
consciousness,
the
the
devotional
devotional
service
service
is
is
that
that
which
which
in
in
which
which
we should
should
have an
have an
intention to
intention to
please
please
Krishna,
Krishna,
but it
but it
should be
should be
devoid of
devoid of
our
our
material
material
desires
desires
and
and
the
the
philosophical,
philosophical,
dry
dry
philosophicals which
philosophicals
we
which we
have.
have.
So
So
it should
it
be
should be
devoid of
devoid
both
of
these
both these
things,
things,
and it
and it
should
should
be
be
centered
centered
towards
towards
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Our
Our
center should
center
be
should be
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yes, it's very inspirational. It should be in with the intention to please Krishna. Good. Thank you, Krishna Priya. Radha,
And
Devi
one more.
Dasi. What
So
else?
So sorry.
Let's hear from some of your peers.
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Tell us what's been
Thank you,
inspirational.
Prabhuji.
Tell us what's been inspirational so far in your study of Nectar Devotion.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Raki, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
So
So
we
we
have
have
learned
learned
that
that
the
the
motive
motive
should
should
be
be
to
to
serve
serve
Krishna,
Krishna,
engage
engage
our
our
senses
senses
in the
in the
service of
service of
Lord,
Lord,
Good.
and
and
whatever we
whatever
are
we are
doing,
doing, we should be
Krishna
Krishna
should be
should
the
be the
center
center
of
of
that thing.
that thing.
Okay, good. Now I'm going to ask a few specific questions now. Raki, seeing what you've shared there, we should use the senses. Now, what's that called?
Senses,
Senses,
we have
we have
five
five
senses.
senses.
Now, using the senses in the service of Krishna and practicing
Yes.
devotional
Yes.
service, what's that called? Anyone can answer.
Vaidhi Bhakti.
Yes?
Sadhana Bhakti.
Vaidhi
Vaidhi
Bhakti.
Bhakti.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good. Good.
Sadhana.
Yeah, sadhana. And the senses along with what?
Along with mind.
The mind. Yeah, they're good. That's good. Now, there's a couple of analogies that Prabhupada gives. He's explaining this concept. What were the analogies? Anyone can answer. What were the analogies?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. One, I remember. I remember.
A voice. I heard a voice. Oh, exactly same issue. What was the voice? Says, somebody.
Voice is echoing, right?
No, it's fine. I'm not getting any problem. So tell us, what's the analogy? What's the analogy?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. I have
Raki, let's hand over someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, you gave us sadhana bhakti. Now tell us something else, Raki. Someone else. What's the analogy about using the mind and senses? An analogy. Analogy, you know what is analogy? Something is like something else. Prabhupada's giving an analogy to explain the concept of sadhana bhakti. What's the analogy? Do I have to give hints? Well, we all did it. We all went through it in our childhood. That's a real good hint. That still no hands up. We all went through that in our childhood. It's an analogy Prabhupada gives about sadhana bhakti. We're going to stick on this because it's so important. It's so important. If you understand this, you've pretty much got the whole gist of it. What's the analogy Prabhupada gives? Chapter 2. Sadhana bhakti is like what? Yes, the embodied voice, Roshni, Kumari, to everyone. A child learning to walk. A child learning to walk. So, now, who said that? Who can explain? What is this? How is this explaining it? A child learning to walk. Why that analogy? What does that analogy tell us about sadhana bhakti? Can speak. Someone can speak. A child learning to walk. Explain it. Child wanting to walk, who can explain it? What does that mean in relation to sadhana bhakti? Raki.
Yes, Prabhuji. I can try. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm trying. Okay. As child starts walking, he fall down again and again, but he never give up. So we should in this sadhana bhakti, we should.
That's very inspirational, but that's not the purpose of that analogy. It's not about determination and effort. It's something else. It's not that the child falls down and gets up again. That's not what the analogy is used for.
Prabhuji, like when the child learns practice to walk in childhood, so like that we should practice.
Say that again, please. Roshni, say that again. Say that again.
Like
Like
in
in
childhood,
childhood,
the
the
child
child
practices
practices
very
very
hard
hard
to
to
walk,
walk,
like that
like
we
that we
should
should
engage
engage
practice
practice
to
to
engage
engage
ourselves
ourselves
in the
in the
service of the
service of the
Lord.
Lord.
It's not exactly what how Prabhupada's using the analogy. It's not that it's hard to walk. What does he say about walking in the child?
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Jai Tulasi.
Prabhuji, when child starts walking, he falls. After walking one step, falls down, and again he stands.
Yeah, no, we can't give any more points for that. That's not what the analogy means.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Simal.
Prabhuji, it means natural capacity.
Very good, very good. The walking propensity is already in the physiological package of the child. The propensity to walk is there. And you see the child, they're kicking their legs. They're kicking their legs. They want to walk, and then you hold them like this, and then they're walking. So it's not difficult to teach a child to walk. It's not difficult to teach a child to walk. You just have to give a little bit of support. So loving Krishna is our natural propensity. But we kind of have no idea how to do that. So then in the beginning, then we do practical things. We do practical things. And that involves the senses and also the mind. And in that way, even though we're not, our love for Krishna is, the propensity is there, but it's dormant, it's become inactive. So it has to be revived again. Has to be revived again. So it's almost like a machine that stopped working, and then you kind of like grab it, you push it, and you kind of like, you push the parts. There's another analogy Prabhupada gives, and it's in a lecture. He says it's like when a car stalls. Probably in Pakistan it doesn't happen so much because everyone rides scooters. But it's a car, it stalls, particularly in the winter. And stalls. When I was a kid, we used to get driven to school. My uncle used to drive us to school. He'd start the car. It was in Australia, Melbourne. It was cold in the winter. It was like foggy. He'd start the car 30 minutes before we'd leave. So the car was warmed up. So Prabhupada said, the car, otherwise in the cold, if you start, it stalls, it stops, it cuts out, the engine cuts out. And it happens. So what happens is you can start a car in second gear. You know how to do this? If the battery is flat, a little bit of a bonus here, some instructions on basic car mechanics. If you put the car in second gear and you push it, you push, and then you take your foot off the clutch, boom, it starts. Do you know that? Yeah, there you go. Learn something tonight, huh? If ever your car stalls, put it in second gear, have to get a group of people and you push it. So Prabhupada is giving that analogy that we're not up and running in serving Krishna. So in the beginning we have to get pushed. And then when the wheels are rolling, then the engine, it clicks in. So we don't have the natural, this is sadhana bhakti, we don't have spontaneous love for Krishna. It's not that, like, we were discussing recently, Mahaprabhu, he visited Gaya Dham. He was initiated by Ishwar Puri Prabhupada in Gaya Dham. Now you could say Mahaprabhu became a devotee. He became a devotee, it's all Leela. Before that he was a Pandit. He was Navadvip Chandra, he was Dvijamani. He was the jewel of the Brahmins of Navadvip, Dvijamani. And he was so absorbed in Vidya, in study. Sharba Navadipe, Proti Nogode, Shishigon Shonge, Bidda Rosh Krida Kore. He was wandering in Navadvip with students, enjoying the debates. He was famous, Dvijamani. Sharba Navadipe, Sharbalok Hoilo, Doni Nimoy Pandit Oddapak Shiromani, the most famous professor in Navadvip. Everyone was exclaiming. And then he went to Gaya Dham to perform Shraddha, and then suddenly his devotional sentiment, it awakened when he saw the Madhusudan lotus feet. All of a sudden, he became overwhelmed with love of Godhead, crying tears of ecstasy. Ishwar Puri Prabhupada was there. So that's a spontaneous awakening of love of Godhead. You don't, at that stage, Mahaprabhu, he awakened love of God. I mean, it's a Leela, he's the Supreme Lord, but after that, he was always shedding tears of love of Godhead. He was always shedding, he would kind of restrain and contain it, but once awakened, it's uncontrollable. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udoy. Udoy means awakening. You're awake, that's it, you stay awake. Rises, it stays risen. So that was Mahaprabhu, his like becoming a devotee. It happened like in a moment, like complete prema. And this is the Leela of Mahaprabhu, very exciting. Everything's so dramatic and so extraordinary. The way he became a devotee is so extraordinary. But for us, it's not like that. Even though we know that we're Krishna's servant, and we understand that, but we don't have like we're not constantly shedding tears of love of Godhead. It's not that we're constantly remembering Krishna. We can't forget him like a romance, that you're just in love and you can never forget Krishna. It's not like that. We have to produce our Krishna consciousness. We have to actually, a sadhana, we have to put effort every day into thinking of Krishna, into awakening the love of God. And then eventually you keep practicing sadhana, then the dormant love, it actually becomes more and more established the more that you practice the sadhana. So that's what sadhana bhakti is. It's not, we don't have the natural love for Krishna, so that we have to do these like mechanical things. You could say that we have to bow down, we have to chant the mantra, we have to look at the deity, we have to offer the incense. All of these things, they're rules you have to follow. And in that way, even though we don't naturally, spontaneously love Krishna, we behave like a lover of Krishna. We behave, there's regulations, there's the standard practice that a lover of Krishna performs these activities. So by performing these activities, it arouses that dormant love of Krishna. That's called sadhana bhakti. Any question on that? Yes, Raki.
Yes, Prabhu. I have a question. Like we say that we all have the Krishna's love in our heart. But it is like we have forgotten this. So my question is that can bhakti or the love for Krishna produce by these action like going down, chanting Hare Krishna, or offering bhog to Krishna, all these activities. If we do these activities, so love can be produced more.
It's not produced. That's a very good question. That's the whole point. It's not produced. It's revived. It's revived. Nitya Krishna. What is that? Nitya Krishna. No. Yeah. Krishna Prem. Nitya Siddha. Krishna Prem. Saddha Kabunai. Never that you can't. It's not that you're going to get love of God. You already have it, but it's become dormant. It's become deactivated. Like some. I know in India, many of the banks, if you don't make transactions for a couple of years, the account becomes deactivated, right? They have to go into the branch and, reactivate it. So it's like that. It's become deactivated because of bahuni me patitani janmani tabacharjuna, so many lives, so many material in different bodies. Nitai pada pashari shay pade nahilo asha. We don't have that shay pade nahilo asha. We have no interest. So then the practical activities, they revive because you're acting like a liberated soul. You're acting like an eternal servant of Krishna, and then your internal consciousness it soon catches up with the activities of the sadhana, and then it becomes. It's not something that you have to do. It becomes something that you spontaneously do. And then that's reaching the next stage, which is called what? After sadhana, what's the next stage? Huh?
Raganuga.
No.
Vedhisatna Bhakti.
Raise hands. Bhava. There's three categories of bhakti. What are they? Chapter 3. Yeah. Sadhana, bhava, prema. So why we're doing the sadhana, it's to revive the bhava. It's to awaken the bhava. It's come to the stage of bhava. And then in the bhava bhakta, then rules are not necessary. The rules are not necessary because already is awakened. Natural love for Krishna is awakened. Just like a real romance, a real thing. And so this is sadhana bhava. Now, how many chapters are there on sadhana?
I think
How many chapters are there on sadhana? We're still in sadhana.
1 to 16.
Yes, it's pretty good. It's about 15 chapters. Not chapter 1. What's chapter 1 about?
about
characters,
pure
devotion.
Characteristics. So that's an overview. The introduction in chapter 1, they're discussing everything about bhakti. That's called Samanya Bhakti. Their foundation, that's about all bhakti. That's all. And then chapter 2, we begin specifically about sadhana. It goes all the way up now, 16. Raganuga is also sadhana. Now, what are some things that are not going to directly awaken Krishna? How many things are mentioned in sadhana?
64.
Yeah, what are the 5 most powerful ones?
First three are
What are the 5 most powerful ones?
Sadhu Sangha and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Nam Bhajan, and Mathuravas, and the last
Deity worship.
Deity worship, please.
Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Sravan, Mathurava, Shri Murti Shradaya Shebon, Shakal Shadon Shresto, E Pachanga. Of all the items, Shresto, best, E Pachanga are these 5 items. Why is that? Krishna Prema Janmaya, E Pache Alpashanga. Even if you do a little, you don't even have to do all 5. If you do 1, or even if you do a little bit of each, Krishna was a Prema Janmaya, E Pache Alpashanga. Alpashanga means a little of any of these 5 awakens Prema. So those 5 we should be doing those every day. We can do Sadhu Sangha online here. This is pretty good. Kavi Chandra Maharaj, we were discussing the other day, he was telling me how our movement expanded so much after the pandemic through online preaching. All the temples are booming, all movements booming after the pandemic with online preaching, online sadhu sangha. So powerful. So, and all the others. So there are 5. We should be doing these every day. You should be doing these every day, or as much of them as you can. And that's the serious devotee. And then the other items are also like, Tulasi Prikrama. And what else have we got? Following the deity, standing up before the deity, all of those items, all of those things. Any question on that? Now, what are some things in chapter 14, just recently you read about some things that Rupa Goswami specifically does not mention will directly awaken prema? What are they? Yeah.
We haven't read it yet. Chapter 14. So that's why we don't know.
Okay.
So sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, the devotee, like Rasal was, so there was some back and forth thing.
Okay, no problem. So in any case, you read the 64. You know the 5 potent ones and the 64.
Yes.
So in chapter 14, Rupa Goswami, he explains that the Varnashram Dharma is not listed as an item of sadhana. So that means being a staunch brahmachari or being a renounced sannyasi or being an ideal grihasta, those activities, they are secondary to the 64 items that are listed. Becoming a sannyasi, that's not mentioned at all. And even becoming a grihasta, for that matter. So you're a wonderful grihasta. I can't even remember if giving charity is even mentioned there. I'm not sure about that. But so we need to know those 64 items. If you can't remember them all, at least the 5 principal ones. These are the ones that we should be focusing our energy in, the 5 ones. And the Varnashram Dharma, and the other thing he mentions is the Jnana, cultivation of knowledge and austerity. These things are not directly going to awaken prema. Like you can be an ideal Brahmin or an ideal Grihastha or even an ideal sannyasi for 100 births. What do you get? You get prema or what? Who can say? You're an ideal sannyasi for 100 births. Or actually, Prabhupada says Brahmin, an ideal Brahmin for 100 births. What do you get? Who can say? It means that you rise early every morning, you do tapasya, you study, you teach, control the senses, control the mind, live a simple life for 100 births as a Brahmin. What do you get? What do you get? What do you not get?
Krishna Prem.
Yeah, you don't get Krishna Prema. What do you get?
Sukriti.
Yeah, ultimately you get attainment of Brahmaloka or Siddhaloka. So that's the Varnashram Dharma without chanting Hare Krishna. Without chanting Hare Krishna. Not that we're not interested in Varnashram Dharma, but we should understand that it's not directly, just by doing that on its own, it's not directly awakening love of God. It's going to give you punya. That's it. So therefore, we practice bhakti and devotional service, and we just, in order to organize our life, the Varnashram Dharma is there because it keeps peaceful life and everything's organized, and that's the way it rolls. Jai Tulasi, question.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, you
You
mentioned
mentioned the
ideal
ideal
Grasta
Grasta
give
give
your
your
Krishna.
Krishna.
So,
So,
the
the
Grasta
Grasta
means
means
one
one
who
who
lives
lives
his
his
life
life like
keeping
keeping
Krishna
Krishna
at the
at the
center.
center.
So,
Yeah.
So,
how
how
can
can
ideal
Well, if you're
Grasta
keeping Krishna in the center, you're a devotee, you're practicing bhakti. So we're talking about Varnashram Dharma without devotional service. We're talking about Varnashram. That's the problem. We mix it all together. But you need to actually be able to discriminate what's directly producing prema and what's not. That's the point of this book. Why is it doesn't mention? He mentions Varnashram Dharma. When you get to 14th chapter, you'll see. Anyway, let's move on with this subject. So a bit of a revision. So shall I share the screen? Send request.
I was.
Okay, play that. How's that? Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Just the screen? I mean, it's good. It's clear.
Yes,
Nothing
yes.
else on my desktop. Just the screen. Bimala Prasad is okay. Just my screen there and the pictures. Yeah, okay. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about the spontaneous, but it's also a part of sadhana, it's also a part of sadhana, Raganuga sadhana. So anyway, let's look a little bit. Raganuga Bhakti. Someone like to read?
Yes,
Yes,
may I?
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Sri
Sri
Rupa Goswami has defined raga as a spontaneous attraction for something while completely absorbed in thoughts in it, with
with
an
an
intense desire of love.
Yeah, so the term rag, I think you understand that Bimala Prasad, it's in Hindi also, rag, like such strong emotion, okay? It's a strong emotion. So at that point, like, yeah. Intense attachment. So here the picture is Madhusoda. So just imagine Jasoda Ma, imagine her love for Govinda. Just imagine how intense that is. I mean, just that's rag. And because it's her very existence, It's everything about, it's her everything. It's a Ragatmika. It means that her very being is simply intense attachment to Krishna. That's called Ragatmika. You read this chapter, and we read people read chapter 15 and tonight before this? No.
No.
Alright. Okay, so anyway, when you get around to reading it, you'll see all these words there, Ragatmika Bhakti, Ragatmikas. Alright, you can read on a little bit. Someone can read.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
There was no certificate with such reading from spontaneous perspective.
Alright. Now, let's look at this. That's Ragatmikas. Jasodama, Nanda Baba, the gopis, cowherd boys, they're all Ragatmikas. And practicing, you can read this. The original, someone can read this translation.
The original habits of are attached spontaneously in devotional service compared to spontaneous devotional service.
Okay, so that's the rag marg. So it's not that they're following rules, you know. I mean, like they have to go down and bow down to Krishna, or they have to wake Krishna in the morning. That they're doing Mangal Arti and offer the boga, you know, keep it there for 5 minutes, you know, bow down again, do archama, all that. They're not even thinking about that. They're just not thinking about that. They're practicing devotional services is completely thinking that Krishna is swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam iti drikshalilabi ananda kunde swagosham nivajantam akyapayantam. We've been singing every night. Swagosham. Swagosham means they consider Krishna a family member. They consider in Vrindavan, they don't think Krishna is God. They consider him a family member. And they're inflamed love for him. It doesn't matter that he's God. That's irrelevant. They love him because he's Krishna. Not because we're his servant and he's the Supreme Lord. So that's called Ragatmika Bhakti. Any question? Okay, you can read this then. Raganuga. Please read.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
When devotees follow the steps of the devotee, his heart bhakti.
Okay, so anuga. Anuga means to follow. Anuga. Anuga. So in Raganuga Bhakti, you're following a Ragatmika. Whoops, go back to that. Yeah. In Raganuga Bhakti, which is probably the term you're more familiar with, in Raganuga Bhakti, you're following a Ragatmika. Okay, so here's the raga, following, Raganuga. We're following, so we're practicing the sadhana. It's called Raganuga sadhana, but it's particularly designed or with the style of cultivating the mood of one of the residents of Vrindavan. That type of practice. It's called Raganuga Bhakti. So following the gopis, following the cowherd boys and their style of loving Krishna in that way, following, this is the Madhurya Ras, Raganuga Bhakti and Madhurya Ras, Raganuga Bhakti and Vatsalya Ras. Okay, So any question on that up to this point?
Prabhuji again.
What? Yeah, question?
Prabhuji, not clear.
What's not clear? Everything after we sang the song?
Prabhu, between Raganuga Bhakti and
Okay, someone like to summarize what I just explained? So who are the Ragatmikas? Who can tell us that? Who are Raga? Give examples of Krishna Priya. Give us a summary, please.
Yeah. So Prabhuji was just discussing about the Raga Bhaktas and then Raganuga Bhakti. So Raga is the one who are having the spontaneous love for Krishna. In that comes Vatsala Bhav, Vatsala Ras. We were showing the picture of Mother Yashoda and Lord Krishna. So this is example of Raganuga Bhaktas. And
And
Raganuga Bhaktas are those who follows the Ragatmika Bhaktas.
Good, very good. Is that a little clearer now? Now, what do we mean by following? Well, in the morning, for example, what is that? How do we sing? What is that one? Ei Nivedana Kori Shokir Anugata Kori. Shokir Anugata. We sing it every morning. Shokir Anugata. Means make me a follower of the cowherd, of the cow maiden's assistance of Sri Radhika. What is that? Ei Nivedana Koro. What is that? Ei Nivedana Koro. Yeah, Moe Bilash Kunje Diobas Nayane Heri Boshara Jugru. Ei Nivedana Koro. What is it? Ei Nivedana Koro. Shokir Anugata Koro. Shokir Anugata. Okay, Shokir Anugata. What is that? What are we singing? We're singing it every day. What does it mean? It means make me a follower of the Gopi, the Manjari assistant. Shokir Anugata Koro. So that's Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti. To pray, to have that desire. So, and also when we're hearing about, we're developing this mood, it's not that this is something that is very esoteric and, we're not allowed to even talk about it, even the idea of practicing, but we practice in ISKCON. When we chant the bhajans, Jai Radha Madhav, what are we meditating on? Kunjabi, we're meditating on the Gopi Bhav. Jai Radha Kunjabi Hari, Gopi Jana Balava, Giri Bharas. We're meditating on the Ragatmikas and desiring to become like them. So many of the bhajans reflect the Rag Marg sentiment. And many of the songs that we sing. And so you can, this flavor, it's not that this is something that, it's all off limits. It's something that we're meant to actually cultivate. A desire to become like a resident of Vrindavan. And then when you become more advanced, then actually that desire becomes stronger and stronger. And eventually, without such a desire, you're not going to go to Vrindavan. That's why Rupa Goswami is teaching it, and that's why Prabhupada has made this a foundational study, Bhakti Sastri. Raganuga Bhakti, it's a Bhakti Sastri book. I mean, it means that we're meant to actually be cultivating this desire to become a resident of Vrindavan as soon as possible in your devotional life, and have that flavor, imbue your sadhana practice. Desire to become. And that sentiment can be developed with the Braja Bhav and also the Gauda Bhav. Also in Mayapur, also you can have, just like Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, they're Majasoda and Nanda Baba, they're the same, and they don't think Krishna, they don't think Mahaprabhu is God, they don't think Gauranga is God, they just love him. So it's the same in Mayapur, the same Bhav, you just become completely absorbed in deep love. But the specific, the unique feature of Vrindavan is Ragatmika Bhav in the conjugal mellow. That's something unique for Vrindavan. So let's have a look at this again. I'll put the screen back on. the two types of ragatmikas. Two types of ragatmikas. Two types of ragatmikas play. So there's in the Madhurya Bhav, it's a specific, it's a specific category. There's the 5 rasas, but the Madhurya Kamarupa, like love of this material, like lust of this material world. And then the others are all in one category. All the other, Vatsalya, Sakya, and Dasya Ras, they're one category called Sambandha Rupa. And then the Madhurya Ras is a separate category, Kamarupa, because it's actually preferred, it's desired, it's the Goswamis, they're in the Madhurya Bhav. Gopi Bhav, Rashamrita, Bila Hari, Kolola, Magnuda, Mahura, Bande Rupa, Sanatano, Raguya, Goshajiva, Gopalako. Gopi Bhav, Rasamrita. So particularly the Gopis, Rupa Goswami, they're teaching us how to follow in the footsteps of the Gopis in Vrindavan. That's called Raganuga Sadhana. Okay, so Kamarupa, it's like lusty desire of this material world. It's like that. And just to kind of distinguish it from the other relationships. That's why it says Kamarupa. Prabhupada comments. You can read. Someone like to read?
The gopis love for Krishna sometimes described as complex, like the lust desire of the material part, but this should not be taken as a disrespect. It is some way of trying to the transcendental appreciation.
Okay, so it's like, means it's like a romance, boy and girl romance of this material world. It appears like that, but it's not. The difference is there. Who can tell us the difference between material lust and love of Krishna in the mood of the gopis? Who can explain the difference?
Prabhuji, gopis never want anything back from Krishna. They just think every time about Krishna.
That's pretty good.
But in our material world,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, it's like a
Want in return.
Yeah, it's like a business arrangement. I mean, the whole thing is just for our own self-satisfaction. Atmendiya pritibhansha, tariboli kam. Atmendiya pritibhansha, to fulfill your own desire. That's why we have love in this world, to fulfill your own desire. Atmendiya pritibhansha. Krishnendriya pritibhansha, tariboli prema. That's dori prema. That's when you desire to satisfy Krishna, then that's love of God. I mean, Sri Radhika, she's so much desiring to please Krishna that she expands in the form of other consorts to give more pleasure to Krishna. That's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. She expands in the form of the other Gopi Gana, the other gopis in Vrindavan, and the Lakshmis in Vakunta, and the Ranis in Dwarka. They're all expansions of Sri Radhika. She expands simply to give more pleasure to Krishna. So nothing like that in the material world. So that's Kamarupa Ragatmika Bhakti. And as we mentioned, the Goswamis, they recommend cultivating the love of Krishna like that of the gopis, and that's what Rupa Goswami is teaching. And the other relationships, please read. Someone can read.
Spontaneous love in a parental relationship found both at the soul, tendencies and of Durga who belong to the identity of Vishnu and among the inhabitants of Vrindavan.
Okay, now this is interesting. Prabhupada's talking here about the devotees outside of Vrindavan. Please read.
The attraction of the gopis and the fraction of the Vardha dynasty are both accepted as spontaneous. Again, he analyzes the fraction of the Yeah, those it is on the platform of friendship, then it is priceless. But if it is on the platform of vehicle, then it is not.
Okay, there's a section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 19 actually, Madhya Lila. If you're so inspired, you can study it. All of these teachings in the Nectar Devotion, they're all originally spoken by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami in Prayag, and that's the 19th chapter of of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that's an interesting study that you can. So we'll quote a few verses from that to explain this. Krishna, what is that? Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Pranta, Shab Shikala, Prabhu Bhagavat Siddhanto. Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu taught Rupa Goswami. Krishna Tattva, that means Sambandha Gyan. Bhakti Tattva is Abhidaya Gyan. And Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, that's Prayojana. Pranta means everything you can know about them, the end, Anta. Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Shab Shikala Prabhu Bhagavat Siddhanta. Mahaprabhu, he taught everything to Rupa Goswami. It's very interesting because it's one chapter, it's very succinct, so things are, verses there that cover so much information there. So, there Mahaprabhu is explaining to Rupa Goswami that Gokule Kebalrata Ashadjagan Heen Puri Dware Vaikuntadde Ashadjagan Praveen. There's a difference between the love of Krishna in Vrindavan, Gokul, and even in Dwarka and Mathura, what to speak of Vaikuntha. He says that Gokule Kebal Roti. There's only this, in Gokul there's Roti. Roti means love, means bhava. Kebal Roti, Ashadjagan Heen. The devotees in Vrindavan, they don't think that Krishna is God. And certainly they don't love him because he's God. They just love him because he's so attractive. The way speaks, the way he glances, the way he talks, the way he plays his flute, the soft touch of his skin, the fragrance of his, all of these things. That's why they love Krishna, not because he's God and we're his servant and we have to love him. So that's Gokule Kebal Roti. Arshadjagan He. Puri Dware. Puri Dware means in the two Puris. Puri Dware means Mathura and Dwarka. Puri Dware. Vaikuntha, even Vaikuntha, Arshadjagan Praveen. There, the predominant mood is that Krishna is God. Even in Mathura. And Mahaprabhu gives the example that when Devaki and Vasudeva, Krishna came into the wrestling arena, he killed Kamsa, and then he came before Devaki. And she hadn't seen Krishna for many years. Krishna left when he was a young baby. He went to Vrindavan. And when she saw Krishna, she felt affection, maternal affection. In fact, she felt like she wanted to breastfeed Krishna, like a mother. She probably never had much opportunity to do that. So she had that desire in the past, from the past. So she was feeling like that, but then because she remembered that Krishna is God, she hesitated. And she showed respect. She showed respect to Krishna. So even in Mathura, the Aishwarya, the knowledge that Krishna is God, it overwhelms the spontaneity. Mahaprabhu gives this example. But he says in Vrindavan, when Krishna is sitting on the lap of Madhusudana, he showed the universal form. There was like a bit of an incident between Balaram and Krishna. Balaram's accusing Krishna of eating dirt. And Krishna says, no, there's a conspiracy against me. And Madhusudana says, sit on my lap, open your mouth, let's see. And she sees the universal form. She sees the Pradhan, the Mahatattva, Tribhuvan. She sees everything, even sees herself there, Vrindavan. Even momentarily, Madhusudana, can you imagine this? This is something that's very amusing. Madhusudana thinks, after seeing the Virat Rupa in Krishna's mouth, Madhusudana, she thinks, why am I wasting my life here as a householder? I should give up household life and practice Atma Tattva. You imagine such a thing? Madhusudana, she's thinking she's in Maya. I should be practicing self-realization and understand my real identity. And then a few moments later she says, oh, you foolish woman, you have no time for Atma Tattva. You have to feed your child. You have to go home and make him breakfast and this and that. So Mahaprabhu is showing that even in Vrindavan, that Kebal Shuddha Prem in Vrindavan, Arshadja Najani, Arshadja Deklayo, Nija Shambandha Shemane. Arshadja Deklayo, even in Vrindavan, when Krishna displays opulence, still the Brajabasis, they don't think he's God. Or momentarily, like Jagannath Mishra, in a dream, a Brahmin, he appeared before Jagannath Mishra. And he said, hey, it's not appropriate for you to chastise your son. What to speak of giving him not appropriate for you to educate your son. What to speak of chastise him? He's the Supreme Lord. He doesn't need any correction from you. In a dream, and imagine a dream like that. Huh? Would you like to have a dream like that? If you keep in contact with Bimala Prasad and take his courses one after another, then you may end up having dreams like that. An effulgent Brahmin appears to you and says, you shouldn't be chastising Nimai, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the dream, Jagannath Mishra replies, Mishra kohe Dev Shidi Munikeni Noi, Jai She Boro Hok Matro Amantanoi. Mishra Bole, in the dream, Jagannath Mishra replies, he says, Dev Shiti Muni, he may be a great Muni, he may be a perfect being, a siddhi, he may be Deva, he may be a demigod, or even the Supreme God. Jai She Boro Hok, no matter what he is, Matro Amar Tanai, but still, I'm his father, he's my son, and it's my responsibility to correct him. So even the people that tell him that your son's God, it doesn't register. They don't know. He's, momentarily they see these things, but it's called the Sambandha. Kebo Ashajana Gani Ashajja Deklayo Nija Shambandha Shemane. You understand that one phrase? Ashajja Deklayo. Even he displays his godly features in Vrindavan. Nija Shambandha Shemane. Still they think he's my son, or he's my friend, my cowherd boyfriend, we're equals, or he's my lover. He's not God. So that's the specific feature of Vrindavan. So now Prabhupada is talking, Rupa Goswami is saying that in Vrindavan that's never disturbed. Even when Krishna displays these miracles as being God, still they never think, oh, he's God, and treat him like that. Momentarily they think, but it quickly goes away. But outside of Vrindavan, the devotees remember that he's God all the time. Just like this example of Devaki in Mathura, from Mathura and beyond, Dwarka. Just like Kunti Devi, she's Krishna's aunt, Govindaya Namo Namaha, but she thinks she's God. She understands he's God, and they treat him as such. But the Pandavas, it's kind of like a little bit of fluctuation. Just like when Krishna's he's leaving Hastinapura. You can read chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Krishna departing from Hastinapura after completing the battle of Kurukshetra, no more required. He's going back to Dwarka. He's leaving. So he touches the feet of Yudhisthira. And Yudhisthira gives him blessings. So even though they know he's God, they still have this kind of fluctuation. They sometimes deal with him like a friend, like a relative, like a Krishna and the Pandavas. And particularly Mahaprabhu gives the example of Arjuna. Now, Krishna showed the universal form to Ma Jasoda, and it hardly affected her. I mean, can you imagine how many people did, when Ma Jasoda, she after that event, how many people did she tell? Now, ladies, let me ask you, perhaps, no one. Roshni Kumar, no one, yes. Now, ladies, perhaps some of you may be mothers. Now, perhaps if your child, you're on your lap, he opens his mouth, you see the universal form. I mean, it would be all over, it would be the front page on your Facebook page, it would go viral. In fact, you'd probably never stop talking about it your whole life. The universal form in his mouth, you'd never stop talking about it. It would be such a spectacular thing. The universal form. Every person you saw on the way to the market, coming home, every relative's for the rest of your life. You'll never stop talking about it. Now, Ma Jasoda, she doesn't tell anybody. What does that mean? And it didn't affect her. She didn't feel it. She didn't consider it very important. Your child showing universal form. He's a creation. Is the source of all spiritual and material worlds, and that's not such insignificant to you because you're just so much in love with him. So that's Braj. That's Vrindavan, and that's why it's so special. Aradha Bhagavan Brajesha Tana Tadama Vrindavanam Ramnakachi Rupashana Brajabadu Bhaganaja Kalpita. That's the most pleasing type of worship. Ramnakachi Rupashana, Ramna Upashana, Kachit, which is the most pleasing worship. Chakrabarti Thakur is explaining Brajabadu Bhaganaja Kalpita, that which is performed by the cowherd maidens of Vrindavan, because they have so much love for Krishna that nothing disturbs their love for Krishna. Nothing disturbs their love. And that's what's so attractive to Krishna. It's so spontaneous. Prabhupada gives another example. He says that there was the German ambassador to the UK, and before the Second World War, he was going to see the Prime Minister, Gladstone. Prabhupada said this was in the paper. This incident was in the paper. In the 1930s, India was part of the British Empire. So he's waiting to see the Prime Minister, and the Secretary, no, I can't go in yet, can't go. Eventually he's so frustrated, he barges in, he sees the Prime Minister crawling around on the office, crawling on his hands and knees with his grandson on his back. And the grandson has a stick and he's saying, giddy up, and he's hitting him on the backside. Giddy up. So for the Prime Minister, that was more enjoyable to play with his grandson than to have to deal with the ambassador for Germany and discuss all the political things. So Krishna actually, he enjoys so much the love of the residents of Vrindavan because it's Braja Bihari. He just enjoys. He's just fully immersed in the relationships. And there's no idea that he's managing them. Hang on, guys. Gopis, Gopagan, give me a few minutes. There's some issues in the material world. I just have to go and address. I'll be back in a few minutes. Right? No, he forgets all that in Vrindavan. This is home. This is Vrindavan. This is confidential. Brajesha Tadama Vrindavanam. This is Vrindavan. The worship in Vrindavan is so special. And that's why it's so amazing that Mahaprabhu is just freely distributing this. With that which is not attained by the great mystics and yogis after hundreds and lifetimes of tapasya and austerity. Even the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, they do not have access to Vrindavan and loving Krishna in this way. So back to the Yadus and Arjuna, that Arjuna, sometimes he's like the friend of Krishna. And they're hanging out and they're like friends, like Krishna and Arjuna. And then after 11th chapter, Krishna shows the Virat Rupa, then Arjuna, he becomes is awestruck. It's awesome. And he begins, he regrets. What does he say about that? Can someone tell us? What does he regret when he sees the universal form, chapter 11? What does he regret?
I was talking with you and laughing with you as my friend.
That's right. We sat on the same seat. We ate together. I talked to you like a friend. Please forgive me. Mahidam tava navedam. Not forgetting your position, I dealt with you in that way. So that's the difference between the outside of Vrindavan and the Dwarka, that sometimes they're into awe and reverence, is God. But in Vrindavan, it never happens. And that's what's so special about Vrindavan. That's what's so attractive to Krishna. So Prabhupada is explaining here that sometimes the Pandavas are in the spontaneous platform and sometimes they're in the regulative principles platform. Any question?
Hare Krishna. Like Prabhuji, what was such fluctuation of rasa?
What's
Rasa
that?
like sometimes sometimes with so much awe and reverence.
Can you just repeat the question, please?
Prabhuji, outside Vrindavan, devotees like there was fluctuation and sometimes they accept Krishna and spontaneous, sometimes like very so many repetitions and all.
Oh, Joy Tulasi, sounds so interesting, your question. Unfortunately, I can't understand it. The sound is just sort of so disturbed. Okay, maybe repeat it, like each word separately.
Is it echoing?
What?
Echo?
No, my sister, that was all. Just try again, someone else, or just say the question again a little more slowly, separate words.
Yes, Prabhu. I think you can write your question.
No, just say, have another go. Just a few less words and a little bit of a space in between the two, in between the words. Empty space.
And they were outside Vrindavan. Their fluctuation, like sometimes they are Praveen Krishna spontaneous way, and sometimes with so much recognition. Like you gave example of Arjuna.
Yeah.
Sometimes very friendly, when he's universal form,
Yeah.
he become very more respectful.
That's right. That's right. Now, yeah. So, question?
So question, why is the fluctuation from spontaneous to service?
Well, why? I mean, why? That's just the way it is. I mean, Narad, he's always in the regulative platform. Narad Muni, Prabhupada gives the example. Narad Muni, he's always thinking of Narayan, and he never becomes a friend and hangs out and like becomes like that, a lover and a friend, and they go for picnics together. So the Vaidhi platform is accepted. This is a special thing that we can cultivate raga, bhakti, and go to Vrindavan, but otherwise you go to Vaikuntha. Most in general, the Vaishnavas, they're going to Vaikuntha. So, I mean, that option is there and you can stay there. It's not like something wrong with that. We're just discussing the different flavors here. And Vrindavan is confidential. It's confidential. That's what's so extraordinary about Mahaprabhu, that he's given such an amazing, Deko ore by Tribhubane na yemon doyala datta. You will not see anyone who's given so much. Tribhubane, that's what Lochan Das Thakur is singing. Deko ore by Tribhubane na yemon doyala datta. You will not see someone who's given so much within the three worlds as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he's given us access to this most confidential, that which was never accessible. That's why Mahaprabhu comes. Mahaprabhu comes to give us Sankirtan, which will allow us to attain Vrindavan. Otherwise, we just go to Vaikuntha and remain in that mood of worshipping the Lord. So there's a very special thing here, the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Can I ask some?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, you mentioned there are different types of Raganuga Bhaktis, and why Shan not including Raganuga?
Didn't quite get the word. Why is who not in Raganuga Bhakti?
Why Rasa
Yeah.
is not include?
Well, because it's just like the yogis, Shantaras. You're not really actively doing anything. You're just aware and appreciating, but you're not really reciprocating. You're not really, like having interaction with Krishna, and so it's not rasa, or it's a Shantaras. It's a Shantaras. So it's spontaneous. That's all I can say about that. The rest of it, I'll just be guessing. So it's not developed. It's not enough interaction. Who are you following? You're following the... Yeah, just skip that one. Doesn't seem to fit into the whole thing. Shantaras. Okay, let's look at this.
Thank you so much.
No problem. No issue. So as we mentioned, two types of sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana and Raganuga sadhana. And we mention examples of Raganuga sadhana, like, for example, many of the prayers that we chant, they're in that category. They're directly prayers that are, and you practice it sadhana because you chant it every day, you chant the prayers. And it's a practice with the mind and the senses. And you use the mind and the senses to cultivate the mood of one of the eternal ragatmikas. That's called Raganuga sadhana. Any question? Okay, now eligibility for Raganuga sadhana. When can you, like, technically speaking, when you're qualified to actually do this? As I mentioned, even now in our program in the Krishna consciousness movement that Prabhupada has given us, there's so many aspects of Raganuga sadhana there already. So you don't really need to kind of like do anything different from what we're already doing. But Rupa Goswami does say that in terms of eligibility, you need to be beyond anartha nibriti. You can read.
There is a state called anartha, which means the disappearance of all particular determination. When one is spontaneously attracted to the loving presence of the gopis, there will be found no trace of any mundane contamination of character.
Yeah, so then you can't really, if you've got other desires, if you've got material desires, then you may have desire for Krishna, but it's not strong enough. It's kind of mixed, it's not strong enough. So therefore you have to have given up the other desires for that rag bhakti process to really work. Otherwise it's imitation. Otherwise it's what the Shahajiyas do. Shahajiyas? Shahajiyas, they pretend that they're a resident of Vrindavan and like they imitate. They imitate, but they have so many other proper the Sajis, they don't follow the principles. They don't follow the principles, so they're still conditioned, but still they kind of just jump to this and practice, and so Sahajiya. So in order to avoid Sahajiyism, this is really eligibility for Raga Bhakti, is that you're giving up all material desire. And therefore the focus can be so strong. The desire for Krishna is so strong. Read a little more. Please read.
It is said by Rupa Goswami, when one is actually liberated from material contamination, he can always remember the devotee in Vrindavan in order to love Krishna in the same capacity, and developing such an aptitude one will always live in Vrindavan, even within his mind.
So that's it. This is it. You're just absorbed. You're deeply absorbed. A devotee. You could say that. It's gradual progress in our Krishna conscious life. The devotees become more and more absorbed, and you meet devotees. They're really absorbed in the holy Dham. They're absorbed in the Leela of the Lord, and they're always thinking about it, always meditating on it, and talking and speak. That's great. That's great. That's what's desired. That's what we want. Tomam tattvato gatva bishate tadanantaram. How do you expect to enter into that abode if you're not always absorbed in that consciousness? So this is the Raganuga Bhakti, to prepare you to actually enter into the eternal abode of the Lord. Now Prabhupada comments here in regard our practices in our movement. Someone like to read? Yeah, read. This is a good one too. Someone can read?
But when he realizes his actual position in relationship with the Lord, he can, along with the discharging of regulative service, think within himself of the Lord under the guidance of particular associate of the Lord, and develops his transcendental sentiments in following that associate.
Something that's particularly significant about this particular paragraph. What's a particularly significant element of this statement of Srila Prabhupada?
Prabhu, can you please repeat your question?
Getting turned on. Yeah. What's something particularly important in this statement from Srila Prabhupada?
Under the
Shelter of a spiritual master.
Spirit of the Lord.
Under
That's-
the guidance of a particular associate of the Lord.
that is the Ragatmika. That is referring to the Ragatmika there when it says a particular associate of the Lord. That means you're following the Vatsalya Bhav or the Madhurya Bhav or the Sakya Bhav. That's what that's referring to there. But what else is significant?
Discharging of regulative service.
What is that? Why is that significant?
Prabhuji,
Sadhana Bhakti.
Why is that significant? Prabhupada says, along with the discharge of regulative devotional service. Why is that significant?
Think within itself of the light, the mind.
Why is Prabhupada mentioning that?
Prabhuji, like when he realized actual position of the Lord, he is still continues his like regulative services maybe.
That's very good. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he, he was, his consciousness, of course, it was like he was completely merged in his eternal form, his eternal identity. Prabhupada is like such an elevated devotee, but, he was always right. It's not that he gave up. He said, now I don't need to be a sannyasi. Now I don't need to do this and do that. So he was following the order of his guru. That's Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. He's following the Shastra. So all of these things Prabhupada was doing. So in other words, it's not that there's any. In fact, the practice of Raganuga Bhakti, devotee may be doing that. We won't even see it. It's not even noticeable externally. It's not something that's displayed. For all due purposes, you're just like every other devotee and you're practicing all the rules and regulations and you're just doing it because it's the order of the guru and that's it. So that's what Prabhupada is referring to there. That this is not something that now you cruise around, hey, I realized I'm a gopi, I'm following the gopis, everybody take note, or I'm following the cowherd boys, and this is the new me, It's like you carry on just like everybody else, following all the regulative principles and just like that. You don't publish it, you don't broadcast that. So so in that way, it's kind of just like a private thing, and it's just something that will happen in a devotee. It's an internal thing. It don't need to be shared with others. Prabhupada continues. Can you read that?
A devotee who is advanced in Krishna consciousness, who is constantly engaged in devotional service, should not manifest himself even though he has attained perfection.
Okay. So any questions on Raganuga sadhana? Raki.
Yes, Prabhuji, I want to say that how much we hardly say that we are in love with Krishna, we just love Krishna, we are surrendered to Krishna, but inside us we actually know that we are just acting to that, because in this material we get hurt, we want something in return, we want our children to be successful. Our desires are not like we cannot stop our desires. So it is very hard to divide all desires.
Raki, sometimes you feel a little bit frustrated that we're not able to advance so quickly.
Not so
Not so
quickly.
quickly.
Like
Like
I'm
I'm
finding
finding
myself that
myself that
I am not
I'm not
doing
doing
anything for
anything for
Krishna.
Krishna.
Like
Like
Feel a little bit disappointed with our own Krishna consciousness, Raki.
yes,
yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah. That's okay, because even the great Mahabhagavatas, they also have sentiment like that. Manusha janama paya radha krishnana bhajiya janiya shuniya bisha koinu. And Narottam Thakur Maharshah, he sings that Manusha janama paya radha krishnana bhajiya. I attained this human life, I didn't worship Radha and Krishna. Was it? Janiya Shuniya Bisha Koinu. Even though I knew and I heard, still it was attached to sense gratification. Golokera Prime Dan Harinam Shankirtan Roti Na Janmilo Kenetai. Why I didn't awaken Roti Na Janmilo? Why I didn't awaken attachment for the treasure of the spiritual world, which has appeared in the form of the Sankirtan Mima. Roti Na Janmilo Kene. Why I didn't awaken attachment? That's Narottam Thakur Maharshah. So it's not, that's okay, Raki. We're always feeling like we should be more Krishna conscious, and we're feeling a little bit disappointed with their own. The great souls, they feel like that. That's okay. You feel like that. You keep putting effort. You keep trying. It's not that we're going to say, "Hey, I've made so much advancement. Wow, it's great. I'm floating on the waves of ecstasy and Krishna consciousness. It's great. It's so good." We don't really feel like that. We always feel like we should be working more in Krishna consciousness, and that's a good motivation. It's fine to think like that. And we feel a bit of disgust with the material desires that we have. It's good. You feel like that repeatedly and repeatedly, and it inspires you to become more serious and more committed to the sadhana practice.
Yes, Prabhuji,
As I am
listening, I am sitting in this class, and after that, if I'm thinking that whatever I am reading and listening in the class and Shravanam, so what
what
I'm
I'm
doing in
doing in
this
this
regarding in
regarding
this,
in
so
this.
I get disappointed that no, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, so it is like that.
We congratulate you, Raki. These are good sentiments. We should be considering ourselves not very good in Krishna consciousness. That's good. That's a good sign. But just imagine that what would be like if we didn't practice Krishna consciousness at all. Then all of those material desires are simply just overwhelm us completely. We'd just be Baba Shagor. What is that? We sing that as a favorite song, but it's so serious. Sharirada Bijajao Jodendriya Jibe Pele Bishar Shagore. Jibe, the self, Jibe Pele Bishar Shagore. We're thrown into the ocean of material birth and death. So that's the option, Raki. We say, wow, we're so full of material desires, I haven't making any advancement. Well, and what's the option? Give up Krishna consciousness. Wow, finished. Jibe Bele Bishar Shagore. It is finished in the ocean, drowning in the ocean. So just do the best you can to stay afloat. Keep chanting Hare Krishna. Keep chanting Hare Krishna. What alternative do you have, Raki? What alternative do you have? Just, that's it. Just got to try your best. Have you this Daryat, Nishchayat, Daryat, Upadeshamrit, Daryat? Just keep trying your best, Otherwise, look back, what's the alternative? Going back to the material world? An ocean of material desires that you can never fulfill. They just increase and increase and increase. Shangshara Davana. Shangshara Davana, like a fire. It is burning. So just what choice do you have? Just carry on Krishna consciousness. Try to be serious. Try to be strict. Try to do the best you can. Raki. Krishna Priya Radha Devi Dasi Raganuga Bhakti.
Hi,
Hi,
Krishna.
Krishna.
I have a question regarding as practicing sadhana bhakti. So how can a sadhaka can genuinely distinguish is he
Is he
actually
actually
following the
following the
footsteps of
footsteps of
acharya
Acharya
or is
or
he
is
imitating?
imitating?
Because sometimes it is very confusing.
Like,
We
we
don't know,
don't
are
know,
we
are we
actually
actually
following the
following the
footsteps
footsteps
or we
or we
just
just
walking on
walking
their
on their
shadows?
shadows?
Just
Okay.
imitating.
Now, Krishna Priya, you're asking about, you said following the footsteps of the Acharya, but I don't know, is your question about Raganuga, that following the Ragatmikas, or is it about
Raganuga.
Raganuga? Well, how do we...
That-
Well, that's it. If when the desire will come, it's not like you need to ask, when will it happen? It's like you may be asking, oh, how will I know I'm hungry? When I'm hungry, you don't need anyone to tell you, and there's no checklist. So, as a result of association, particularly this is developed through association, that one feels attraction to a particular sentiment, a particular style of loving Krishna and Vrindavan. It's not that it's not that how do I know I'm feeling it. It's something that's like it's overwhelming. It develops in the heart of the devotee due to association, by hearing, basically by hearing. And so we don't need to worry about that, because it's going to develop in due course of time on its own. Shravana dishuddha chitte koraya udoy, just like the sun arises. When it's arising, you can't stop it. Arousal of the sun, you can't stop it. So you just there's this natural attraction to the particular sentiment. There's something that will automatically develop, and it doesn't really matter about the orientation. When will it happen? Is it happening or not? You feel attraction to Krishna as a gradual desire which will increase and increase and increase. So much so you see advanced devotees that always do that. They never want to be not hearing about Krishna. They never want to be not glorifying Krishna. They're so much attached. So that is what it is. That's raga. There's so much attached. Not that they have to. Why I have to? Just like in some temples, in many temples, they have a little book there, a notebook beside the Prabhupada Murti, and in the Mangaladi, the brahmacharis come, they have to tick it off. Yeah, Mangaladi, yeah, Tulasi, yep, Bhagavatam class, tick, tick, tick. So, you can get to the point, why am I doing it? Why? I have to fill up the ticks. I have to fill up the ticks. I have to fill up the sadhana sheet. And what happens if you don't? If you miss Mangaladi, then like I may not be able to. Or maybe some places you don't get breakfast. So we're kind of like we're developing that stage where we go because we have to go. We go because we know we should. We know because it's been order. Spiritual master has ordered. Shastras, senior devotees have ordered. Everyone's expecting us to be there, tilak, go to however you go to the programs. I don't know in Pakistan what you do, but maybe you have some programs, you come together, you wear tilak. Why you wear tilak? Oh, because everyone will see me. So, but in any case, you keep practicing like that. Eventually, you won't be doing it because, people are seeing you. You're doing it because you can't tolerate the idea of not putting on tilak. Or you can't tolerate the idea of not chanting the holy name. So it becomes such a strong desire. So that happens automatically as you practice sadhana. It just happens automatically. The desire to serve Krishna becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And we no longer require the motivation of the rules. We're spontaneously doing these things out of love.
Thank you so much, Bhakti.
But it's a gradual thing. A gradual thing. There's a desire, it gradually develops. And advanced, you come to, eventually, Bhava, you're on that platform that you can't stop it. Bhava Bhakta. What's that word? What do we sing in the Guru Shri Guru Charana? Bhava Bhakta. What is that? Yeah, Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoiti. Yeah, Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoiti. It's like it's something that you can't. It's uncontrollable. One time I asked, in many of the statements in Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions rolling on the ground. You've read that, rolling on the ground? Keo Kandai, Keo Hashe, Keo Nache Gai, Krishna Krishna Bali, Keo Garagari Jai. Mahaprabhu, he entered Prayag. And thousands of people had come to see him. Mahaprabhu, and then Kaviraj Goswami, he's describing Keo Nache, so Keo Kande, some were crying. Keo hashe, some were laughing. Keo nache, guys, some were dancing and singing. Krishna Krishna boli. Keo gara gadi jai, some were rolling on the ground. Some were rolling and just seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we were rolling on the ground. And I asked Srila Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, can we roll on the ground in the kirtan? Can we roll on the ground in the kirtan? And he said, you can roll on the ground if you cannot restrain yourself. In other words, if you're thinking that, well, there's a bit of space over there, probably now's a good time, maybe I'll just roll on the ground a little bit. Because it says roll on the ground, but they're not allowed to roll on the ground like that. But those people who actually, they can't control themselves, they're rolling on the ground in ecstasy, then you can roll on the ground. So that stage will come. You can't control yourself. The love of Krishna is so bhava buddhi. What is that? That premonmad avashara shesha dasha grashto pramato shada. Pramato, mad. Pramato, completely mad. Sada, all the time. Premonmad, with the madness of love. Prem unmad avashara shesha dashaya grashto. Grashto means haunted. Means you can never forget. Mahaprabhu, he received initiation from Ishwarapuri. He went back to his apartment. He couldn't lie down. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't sit. He couldn't do anything. He was so overwhelmed with love of Godhead. Kiba mantra dilo goshai, kibatar bol, jopadi mantra, korele pago. What mantra have you given me, O Goshai? What is its power? Chanting the mantra, I become crazy. You can't stop. Mahaprabhu, he came back to Mayapur. His students are there. They're all waiting. Oh, Nimai Pandit has come back. He said, okay, go for the class. They all come for the class. They sit down. In the beginning of the class, the students say, Hari, Hari. They begin the class. They say, Hari, Hari. Mahaprabhu's sitting there. The students say, Hari, Hari. He hears that. He falls off the Bhyasasan. He falls off the asan. He can't give the class. He's just overwhelmed. He's saying, he apologizes. I'm sorry. He says, I cannot, you're not giving the proper answers, Pandit Ji. You're not following the standard curriculum. He's saying, I can't. He says, I can't stop talking about Nanda Dulal because I'm seeing him all the time. I can't stop talking about him. I can't stop thinking about him. So that will happen. That you keep practicing the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, the fire becomes so strong that you can't stop. No one can stop you from practicing Krishna consciousness. And just wait. Just keep practicing Krishna consciousness. That's happened. It's guaranteed. Nishchayat, Utsaha, Nishchayat, Daryat. Have to wait, but Nishchayat, certainly it will develop. That's what Rupa Goswami's written the book. It's like a scientific process. It will awaken. Something else this evening? Okay, so we can wind up. We were discussing this evening a little bit of a review, spontaneous review of the topics that we've looked at so far. We spoke about sadhana. What is sadhana? Mind and senses. Use them. A little mechanical in the beginning. Get the thing up and running. It awakens the dormant feelings. And then we spoke about the 5 principal activities of sadhana, which we've studied. And now Raga Bhakti is particularly developing an attraction to the mood in which the residents of Vrindavan love Krishna. And we have so much access to that in our process in Krishna consciousness. So many of the bhajans we pray have that mood of Vrindavan. Reading the Leela, reading the Krishna book, reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of these books where the Leela Kotar, these are all activities that directly help awaken that desire to enter Vrindavan and develop the sentiment like that of residents of Vrindavan. And by practicing and cultivating that's called Raganuga Bhakti. And that will gradually develop in the heart of the devotees as they become free from material desires. You carry on practicing sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, the Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Ragmarg sentiment develops through association. Through those devotees who have awakened such sentiments, by hearing from them, associating with them, like Srila Prabhupada, reading Srila Prabhupada's books and reading Krishna book and other topics in that nature, they will help to quicken this development. So we'll conclude this evening. A couple of quotes here to conclude on. Someone like to read? Yeah.
A devotee is actually, first of all, he is trying to bring the devotee to the standard of devotional service, Vidhi Marga. Then gradually, when he becomes accustomed, then Raga Marga will be revealed. Everyone has got a particular relationship with Krishna in his original constitutional position.
Read on.
That will be revealed gradually advance in devotional service in the prescribed rules and regulations as they are directed in the Shastras and by spiritual master. Just like sun becomes visible when the sun rises automatically. You cannot force the sun to, that is not possible. Sun will rise, you just wait.
Srila Prabhupada, Jai, thank you very much. We'll reconvene tomorrow evening. We'll talk about Bhava and Prema. I look forward to your inspirational association. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Good night.
गाय प्रभु जी गाय।
अच्छा, क्लास जल्दी खत्म हो गई आज।
अब आवाज क्लियर है सबकी? पता
नहीं। मैं बताता हूँ क्या हुआ जो मैं समझ पा रहा था। जस्ट हियर मी आउट फॉर अ कपल ऑफ मिनट्स। अब जल्दी खत्म होगी, जस्ट हियर मी आउट। मुझे लगता है कि प्रभु का जब कैमरा, सॉरी, उनका जो माइक्रोफोन है उसके साथ कोई मसला है। तो मैंने बाद में फिगर आउट किया, आपने कई बार देखा, कई बार आवाज क्लियर आ रही है। तब हो रहा था जब मैं जाके प्रभु का माइक म्यूट कर देता था जाके। अब वहां से प्रभु को तो नहीं पता लग रहा क्या क्यों म्यूट है, वो बार बार अनम्यूट कर देते थे, फिर वो एको हो रहा है। तो इट्स लाइक दैट। सो आई वाज ट्राइंग, काफी देर से मुझे फिगर आउट किया मैंने कि यार ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है एंड आई हैव नो आइडिया उसको कैसे फिक्स करना है। मैं कल प्रभु से, अगर प्रभु जैसे थोड़ा सा पहले आ गए थे तो मैं प्रभु से पहले बात कर लूंगा कि प्रभु जी मैं आपका माइक खुद ही ऑफ कर दूंगा, ऑल्दो मैंने आपको कोहोस्ट बनाया हुआ है, बट ही इज co-host, otherwise he cannot share things. So co-host बनाने के बाद जो है माइक्रोफोन ऑफ करके, फिर जब आप लोग बोल रहे हो तब माइक्रोफोन ऑफ कर देता है कि सबको सुनाई दे रहा है। उनको कोई मसला नहीं आ रहा, मैं माइक्रोफोन ऑफ करूँ उनको कोई मसला नहीं आ रहा, मगर मैं माइक्रोफोन ऑफ नहीं करता सबको मसला आ रहा है। So let me see, let me talk to him tomorrow before the class and get me done. Okay, thank you.
थैंक यू, बहुत अच्छी क्लास। हरे कृष्णा।
All of
प्रभु
listen to him.
प्रभु जी कैप्शंस शो नहीं हो रहे थे।
मैं भी वही बोलने वाली थी, कैप्शन शो नहीं हो रहे थे।
अच्छा जरा आप देखना, अब हो रहे हैं
प्रभु जी सबके हो रहे थे, जस्ट प्रभु जी के नहीं हो रहे थे। अतुल प्रभु के नहीं हो रहे थे।
अरे अभी हो रहे हैं।
यस प्रभु, यस हो रहे हैं अभी।
प्रभु जी हाँ, सबके पहले भी हो रहे थे, आपके भी अभी हो रहे हैं, सबके हो रहे हैं सिवाय अतुल प्रभु के।
यार वही कह रहा हूँ ना, मतलब प्रभु के अलावा सबके हो रहे हैं ना।
जी जी,
तो मतलब वही सा मसला आ रहा था, उसी के उन्हीं के जो माइक्रोफोन से या लैपटॉप से कोई मसला होगा। आई डू नॉट नो हाउ टू रिजॉल्व दैट। सो उसके वजह से मैं समझ रहा था, बार बार डिवोटीज का मैसेज आ रहा है, कैप्शन ऑन नहीं है, कुछ सुना समझ नहीं आ रहा, मैं क्या करूँ, नहीं आ रहा। अब एक चीज हो सकती है कि ये रिकॉर्डिंग जो डल जाएगी ऊपर, उसमें आप सीसी चला लेना यूट्यूब में, खुश होके बैठ जाना, बस ठीक है, क्या क्या बट आई सो मच वांटेड ऑल ऑफ यू टू हियर हिम बिकॉज या मैं तो इनफैक्ट मैं उन आप लोग वो भी चेक करो, वो वाले डिवोटी जिनके एग्जाम्स हैं उनको आप छोड़ दें, और जिनके एग्जाम्स नहीं है उनको प्लीज देखिए कि वो कोई एक्सक्यूज ना करे, वो आए। 2 और दिन है बस, यू विल नॉट हियर हिम लाइक अगेन मे बी फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम। सो जस्ट हियर हिम, दैट क्वालिटी आपको आसानी से नहीं मिलेगी। सो जस्ट सी टू आप लोग कर सके तो अच्छा। मैं अकेले धक्का मार,
उन्होंने जो भजन गाया और
धक्का मारती है तो ये हो जाता है कि ये इनका काम ये पीछे पड़ना। So if you guys can, yeah, just help me out. Okay. थैंक यू
Thank
राखी माता जी, थैंक यू,
Prabhuji.
थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू, थैंक यू, हरे कृष्ण,
Krishna.
थैंक यू, हरे कृष्ण, अपना अपना
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण अपना
हरे कृष्णा
कृष्ण।